right, hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to My Family's First Aid. Today we're going to go over our mannequins that we use. We teach adult, child, infant CPR, and I highly stress to get your adult, child, infant CPR certifications, not just adult, not just infant, because we don't choose when we're going to encounter a first aid situation or what situation we'll encounter. But back to the Prestans. These are called Prestan Pros. They do have Prestan Ultralights, which are pretty compact and they break down really well. So you can fit them in a suitcase, and that's what I use when I fly to travel. We'll do another video on those at a different time. But these are the Prestan Pros, the best in the market. And the reason I say they're the best in the market is that they are, one, latex free, which most are. So if you have a latex allergy, we got you covered there. But these Prestan Pros are the only company that have the feedback device in their the child mannequins and the infant mannequins. So that feedback device I'm talking about is a new guideline that's compliant with American Heart and the International Liaison and Commission on Resuscitation. It's a 2020 guideline recommendation that there is a visual feedback, so we can see that we're actually compressing right at the proper rate, which is 100 to 120 compressions per minute. Those organizations want us as students or instructors to be able to see that we're at that proper rate. These guys have it in the left shoulder, and in the diaper of the mannequin, the lights will show us that we're at that proper rate. So if you have a red light, you're below 60 compressions per minute. If you have yellow, you're about, I think it's around 60 to 80. If you have one green light, this baby has one here that just shows it is on, but as we compress, and I'll show you here in just a minute, the one green light shows us that we're at about 80 to 100 compressions per minute. What we're looking for with good CPR, high quality CPR, is 2 green lights in the shoulder and 2 other green lights, or 3 total, on the diaper of the baby to show that we're at 100 to 120. Now, if we're going too fast, we'll have 2 green lights with a yellow light, which shows you you're above 120 compressions. So these guys are, like I said, compliant with the visual feedback, only company that has it in the child and the infant. They're also compliant with the audible, right? So we want to be able to hear that we're at the proper depth, okay, which is going to help us build that muscle memory. So if we have to do CPR in real life, that we have a general idea that we're at the proper depth. So the adults, we're looking at 2 to 2.5 inches. Children, we're looking around 2, kind of depends on the size. And with an infant, we're looking at about 1.5 inches. These guys are super easy to clean. We've had them in the dirt, we've had them in concrete floors, we've had them in industrial buildings, we've had them in people's homes, we've had them in very clean floors, very dirty floors. Biggest thing I find happening is, which we might on concrete obviously start to implement, putting some mats down. We bring pads for people to kneel on, but these guys start to get kind of scratched up here, but they have a really nice frame that keeps them just off the rest of the body, just off the ground. So this is what rests on the concrete or the dirt or whatever. Their heads start to get a little scratched up, but they're very, very resilient. So with that feedback device, or well, going back, so they're super easy to clean. I just use these Clorox wipes right here. Very easy to clean these mannequins. They have these lung bags, which is what we put through the mouth and down into the chest, and I can show you how to set those up in a different video, but this is what the students breathe into. We also have a small filter that we attach to the mask, so that helps to reduce a lot of the germs, but we do decontaminate them after every use. With that feedback device, what we're looking at, so on our infants, once again, we're looking 30 compressions to 2 breaths. So we want to be able to see that we're at the proper rate, right? Which is, once again, 100 to 120 compressions per minute. And we want to see that. We also want to hear that we're hitting the proper depth of 1.5 inches. So for instructional purposes, I'm going to hold the baby up here, but basically we want to do the 2 thumb circling technique, right? Or the 2 finger technique here. So we want to be able to hear. So as I'm compressing, you can't hear anything right now because I'm not at the proper depth. So to ensure I'm at the proper depth, I want to hear that click or that pop. You can hear the click versus light click here. Next thing is, right, we were talking about the light. So I have one light here, which means red, nothing's happening. Also, if I'm going too slow, get the yellow light. So now I'm able to see, hey, am I in that zone of about 100 to 120 compressions? A little bit faster. I can hear them at the proper depth. I can see with those 2 extra green lights there that we're getting that 100 to 120 compressions. going too fast, we get the yellow light, right? So great mannequins because we get that feedback. It helps us to really develop that muscle memory. Same thing with the child mannequin, right? We're looking at about 2 inches on the child mannequin as we're compressing on the child mannequin, right? Using one hand, instructional purposes only. We're gonna do this somewhat different than you would in real life, but as we're compressing, right? You can hear that there's a click, right? If I'm not compressing deep enough, there is no click. You just hear kind of the spring actuating. So now I can hear them at the proper depth, right? Same thing on that rate. As we're compressing, we get those 2 lights showing up. We're not compressing, you get the red. Once again, we're looking for 2 reds with that nice solid click. So great audible feedback and visual feedback. Same thing with our adult mannequins. Actually the same, just a little bit bigger, right? You can hear that nice audible click. Without the click, all you're hearing is that the spring somewhat actuating. Now you can hear that actual click, confirming we're getting to that 2 to 2.5 inches. And we also have the visual light. So as we're doing the CPR, all I'm telling people is, hey, push hard, push fast, listen for the click, look for those 2 green lights. And all these guys take is 2 AA batteries in the back here. And we'll go over a setup video and a decon video a different day, but we choose Prestan Pros because they're the best on the market. They have the feedback device, which gives you that visual, audible confirmation that you're getting that proper 100 to 120 compressions per minute, proper depth of 2 to 2.5 inches on our adult, approximately 2 inches on the child, and about 1.5 inches on our infants. So if you guys know anybody in Treasure Valley, anybody at all that needs help with our CPR training, we offer training for pediatric CPR first aid for babysitters and nannies. We do adult, child, infant CPR, typically down to about the age of 9, just kind of depends. We come to your home, we can come to your business, your place of worship, and just make it real cost effective for you guys. The foundation is providing education, equipment, and training so that you're more resilient and capable of stepping into a first aid situation, provided it's safe, and hopefully providing a better outcome in that situation. So take care and get some training.